We'll start today's program with the decision to postpone the national and housing census that was supposed to take place May 3 to 7. Now, the National Population and Housing Census has been proposed indefinitely. The new date, according to a statement by the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, will be determined by the incoming administration. He said the postponement has the approval of President Muhammadu Buhari. The decision to postpone the exercise, according to Alhaji Mohammed, was reached after a meeting with some members of the Federal Executive Council and the chairman of the National Population Commission. In the meantime, the National Population Commission plans to meet with Nigeria's president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even before his inauguration, to discuss possible new dates for the population and housing census. We now have with us on this program Dr. Inuwa Jalingo, who is the census manager at the National Population Commission. Good to have you on this Live Day Sunday talk show, Dr. Jalingo. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Nigerian. It is a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, Nigeria.
Okay, Dr. Jalingo, let me start with a justification for the postponement. You recall that the National Population Commission had told Nigerians that the commission was ready. In fact, the reason for the postponement till May was because of the supplementary elections. And now all of a sudden, we're being told that the census cannot hold again on May 3 to 7 to allow better preparation, to allow consultations, and many Nigerians are outraged. The question they ask is that, wasn't this foreseeable? Can you provide a justification for the postponement?
Yeah, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to talk to Nigerians. And I want to state emphatically that the National Population Commission is technically ready to implement the census. As you are aware, the journey for the implementation of the census started a long time ago. This is a census that was supposed to be done 10 years after the 2006 census, and that is 2016 specifically. And since the coming of this administration, the census preparations have gained a lot of momentum. We have started with one local government area enumeration demarcation with the coming of this government. But today, by the grace of God, we have demarcated all the enumeration areas of this country, all the local government areas of this country. And we have also implemented the census in a methodological order as recommended by the United Nations 2020 recommendations for countries to leverage on digital technology to implement the census. We have set up all the necessary systems for the census, digital census to be implemented. As you are aware, we have an award-winning geospatial database, which I can tell you today is one of the greatest geospatial database we have in Africa, and that is something that has earned the country an award in far away San Diego, United States of America. And other agencies of government are leveraging on that geospatial database to do their work, like the NIPOS we have always said. And even the National Electoral Commission have leveraged on this database. And this is a database that is going to be used for all censuses and surveys in this country. So by no means that is a small feat on its own. We have set up an enumeration system, a homegrown software for the building numbering and household listing, which has reduced the implementation of census. It's never done anywhere for about 3 months. Provisioning and providing the maps and all these things on the tablet. In some countries, it requires about 3 months to do that. But by the grace of God, with our homegrown software, we can do that between 30 seconds and 1 minute. We have also prepared other systems for enumeration of the statistical data using the census and survey data processing software that is developed for censuses all over the world. And we have localized it to our own need to capture all questionnaires. As you are all aware, we have also opened a recruitment portal sometimes in November, December last year, and have recruited all Nigerians that have canvassed to be recruited for the census. We have recruited those that we found competent and worthy of doing. We have a database of all the field functionaries that are required for this census. In addition to that, all our materials for the census are in the 774 local government areas as I speak to you today. Critically of them, manuals, reflective jackets, and other training aids are all in the local government areas. In addition to that, our major tool for the census exercise is the tablets, which I can tell you about 480,000 of them are in the CBN offices in all the states of the Federation.
Dr. Jalingo.
And the National Population Commission, yeah.
Dr. Jalingo, I hear you.
I can continue on and on and on. Yes, I'm listening to you. Yeah.
I know, I heard you loud and clear. My question is, this postponement, was it not foreseeable? It was clear to many Nigerians that it would be very difficult to hold a general election in a year and at the same time follow up immediately with a population and housing census. And now we're just being told at the last minute, a few days, just a moment, a few days to the proposed population and housing census, that the Buhari administration now wants to consult with the incoming administration. After your commission has spent, as reported, 291 billion out of the 869 billion that you are asking for, and an additional 500 billion naira. So Nigerians are saying, yes, okay, you say you have done some things with our money. What is the guarantee that this money would not disappear into thin air? Now that we have been told that the census will be postponed indefinitely. How indefinite is indefinitely?
I can tell you that most of what we have said in terms of everything that we have obtained for the census, the tablets are there. They are going to be used for the census. The other things that are required for the census are still going to be needed for the census. The systems that we have developed are systems that are going to be used for the census. So I can tell you that whatever that is done in implementation of this census is on course and is going to be utilized for the census as soon as a new date is being received. We want to assure Nigerians that we are professionals and we have implemented the census in a professional manner, and that the President and Commander-in-Chief has the final say as regards census implementation. It's a national gigantic project that involves every Nigerian and involves everything as far as census taking is concerned. It's an exercise that requires that enumerators enter each and every household in Nigeria. It's by no means a small exercise. Census all over the world is stated as next to war. And I can tell you that the President, having taken this decision, have done it in the interest of the nation. And you are aware that elections that were scheduled to end, they did not end at the time there was an extension. And in the census process, every hour is important, every day is important, and every week is important. So whatever it is, the National Population Commission is ready, and I think it's not out of place to consult with the new government, and they have a buy-in in the process, and also to continue with the job. Like it's always said, government is a continuum, and it's not something that is going to end with this government, and the President believes in systems, and he has been working within the systems, and for that decision to be taken, I think it's in the best interest of the census, the country, and we are ready as a commission and to implement the census as soon as we are given the go-ahead.
Okay, Dr. Jalingo, we've been told that the National Population Commission, part of the reason that this proposed national census has been postponed is because of funding crisis. We are told that you guys have collected 296 million, but you ran into problems with funding. Also, the director of public relations was saying the federal government has released more than enough money. Okay, what did you guys do with the money? And how can we be sure, really, that whatever you have done, training of enumerators, procurement of, infrastructure and all of that, that whenever the incoming administration decides that a census should take place, that you guys will be able to account for monies collected and infrastructure procured?
Yeah, the infrastructures are there, and these are services rendered by Nigerian companies, and the internet connectivity that is required. The tablet are physical things that I told you earlier. They are deposited in the central bank for safety, and they are there. Other materials that we feel that are not too sensitive and are deposited in the local government areas of the commission, and all these are verifiable. We have a dashboard system where we monitor the location of all our equipment, and I think Nigerians, or wherever they are, they have a local government area, they can go and verify those materials wherever they are. And the system that we have developed, they are systems that normally in census implementation, they require a time that you don't improve on them, and you seal them up, and they are going to be used for the census. As I can tell you, everything that we have developed for the census, every material that we have bought for the census is still going to be used for the census. And they are there, they are verifiable items, and they are physical items in some cases. And so we don't have any fear about their position or their inability to be used for the census. And like I've said, all these are developed and are prepared for the census. As soon as a date is given for the census, we are going to deploy that.
Okay. Your commission claims that it's carrying out a digital census, relying heavily on technology. I ask you, why is biometric capture excluded from the exercise?
Yeah, census is a civil process. All over the world, census do not take biometrics. There's an organ of government, the National Identity Management Commission, which by the grace of God I sit on the board, is a responsible agency to capture information and biometric information of Nigeria, and is doing that. So census is a civil operations, and there is no need to duplicate cost and expenditure on biometrics in census. And it's not part of what the United Nations recommended for countries implementing the census to collect biometrics. So that is why, mindful of that, and also mindful of the fact that NIMC is an agency of government that is collecting all biometrics of Nigerians, we don't want to go into that. We have our data quality assurance strategies for the implementation of census, and we're leveraging on that to ensure that we get high quality census data without necessarily going through the biometrics capture of Nigerians.
Okay, let me also ask you, there are persons who ask a question. They say, look, we have BVN, we have NIMC.
I'm sorry, I need to clarify.
Okay, please.
Yeah, I need to clarify further. We are doing a digital census. We We stand on the fact that we are doing a digital census. All our systems are digital, and digital census provide you an opportunity to leverage on technology to be able to do things in a more professional manner, in a more technical manner, in a more verifiable manner. And right from our enumeration area demarcation exercise, we leverage on that. Our recruitment exercise, we leverage on that. Without technology, I don't see how we can recruit about 1 million Nigerians, ensuring that nobody is appearing on our database twice. So all this is a process. Our software system for the census is digitally based. We can transmit data digitally to our systems. And so you can imagine if you are part of 2006 or 1991 census, whereby we have loads of questionnaires and papers that are waiting to be uploaded at the data processing centers. Now we have only our tablets, and they are enough to capture all the information that is required. Yeah.
Dr. Jalingo, Census Manager, National Population Commission. I hear you loud and clear. This is how INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, told us we are doing digital election. We are deploying technology. Okay, that's a big issue today. But I ask you, we have BVN, that the banks employ, biometric verification numbers. We have NIMC collecting information. Now, all of this existing information, why don't you have a unified data collection system to identify Nigerians instead of this duplication and duplication, even more importantly, of expenditure?
I think you need to understand the concept of census. Census taking is to address international national development goals and aspirations. Nigeria is a signatory to the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goal of the UN, and we need to get data to ensure that we monitor the progress or otherwise of the country here. Nigeria is a signatory to the African 2063 agenda. Nigeria also have its own local plans. Just concluded Economic Recovery Growth Plan and the 2021-2025 National Development Plan. All these plans and strategies, both locally and internationally, they need to be benchmarked by a set of data to know whether we are making progress or otherwise. And without those data, there is no way Nigeria can sit up in the Committee of Nations to say this is how we are moving. And there is no way locally we will be able to implement our national goals and aspirations and ensure that the country is moving in the next direction. So census data is different from the biometrics data of NIMSI or the BVM data, and that is why when you said that we should take biometrics, we said no, we are leveraging on that harmonization, and I think that is one of the clear things that the government of President Muhammadu Buhari did on assumption that national agencies should harmonize their databases and their biometric databases, and that is why we are not collecting any biometrics in the census, because that system we are trying to integrate and harmonize all our systems. But those databases do not take away the issue of census. Census is the enumeration of all persons at a particular point in time, while those other agencies are limited either by the age in which they capture for licenses, for accounts. All these are limited by the age entries for visa, for passports. So, but census is about everybody, and not only Nigerians, but everybody that resides in the boundary called Nigeria at the period of census is enumerated, and information about them and about their housing characteristics are collected for national and international data needs and requirements. And at the lowest level, the census data should be able to provide you the data planning, and there is no any other form of data collection that can provide you the kind of data that the census data is going to provide you. And that is why developed countries like the United States of America for hundreds of years have never stopped taking census. That is why India since 1874 has never stopped doing a census. That is why Ghana, despite the COVID pandemic, they still went ahead to do their census. That is why South Africa is doing its census every 5 years. That is why smaller countries like Sierra Leone, Gambia, and other countries in Africa have never stopped doing their census at the right time. And that is why we want Nigeria to get to, whereby we woke up and said after each 10 days you do a census like just the election is doing. And the National Population Commission is working hard to ensure that happens. And one thing I want to point out, we are all professionals. Some of us have been in the system for about 32 years, having done 2 censuses. We have a fair knowledge of what it needs to be done to improve the process. And we believe after the census, we have a life to live and we have something to contribute to Nigeria. So everything that requires to be done professionally, internationally about the census, we have followed the process. And I think the media that are close to the commission have been following all the footsteps. We have tried to implement the census in a methodological manner that is being recommended by the United Nations.
Okay, Doctor.
And we have tested our system. We are testing our systems.
Doctor, the first census in this country was held in 1866.
My brother.
It was held in 1866 by the British. After independence, we have had 5. So cumulatively, Nigeria has had 6 censuses. Well, this one will have been the 6th one, whenever it takes place. Why, in your opinion, is census always disputed, always a political matter in Nigeria? 1963, wahala. 1981, wahala. 1991, wahala. So you think technology will solve that problem?
Technology will solve that problem, and I can tell you, Ruben, that technology, like I've always said, is the limit of your knowledge. You can use technology based on the limit of your knowledge, and we have leverage on all these systems. And the census that we are implementing is a verifiable census. Like Nigerians need to appreciate what the National Population Commission have done, and our databases are there, our systems are there. We have gone to every standing building in Nigeria, and when I say we have gone, we have the geo coordinates of that building within a 10-meter radius distance from those buildings, and we have all the infrastructures that are in this country in our database. So this database in love is something that needs to be celebrated by Nigeria. Is so to tell you that it's a verifiable census. The census we're implementing, we're going to see the footprint of our enumerators on our enumeration dashboard. That we have launched a long time ago. We will see the completion rate. We'll see that each building in Nigeria is being touched by the enumerators during the census. We'll see whether they have completed the work. So it's something that is going to be verifiable, and Nigerians will be given the opportunity, if they have any doubt about our processes, to come and see it. We can be able to point at your house in your own village, not the one in the city. So that is how far we have gone. When the National Population Commission have said they have done a work, it's something that is verifiable. If you don't go there, you cannot do it. And I can tell you, our systems are available. There are things that we can show Nigerians. Whatever we say we have done to ensure that this process, we have followed all the steps that needs to be taken to ensure that we give Nigerians a very credible census. And I want Nigerians to understand that census is a national project. And it is a project that is meant for national development and planning, and so that we cannot stop groping in the dark. For any government at any whatever level you are, or for the private sector, or for anybody at all doing business in Nigeria, you need this data to plan. And data is very key in whatever you do. You need to know how many people do you need to service with schools. Even their age structure is very important in planning. Because if you are providing a healthcare facility, are you providing for female? Female needs and male needs are different. Adult needs and children needs are different. Similarly with education. So everything about a human endeavor requires data to be able to plan and implement. Is it housing? So we have the housing stock. We have been able to touch every building in Nigeria as based on the time that we are doing the enumeration. And this we hope to update during the census exercise. So I think we are doing everything possible, and we believe that by the time we implement this census, Nigeria will beat their chest and say that yes, they have a census they can trust, a census they can believe in, a census that they can rely on, and a census that we can use to plan and also ensure that Nigeria is placed in the Committee of Nations as one of the countries that value data and is using data for result-based planning.
Okay, finally, I have to let you go now, Dr. Jalingo. I want to ask you a question. Now, the governor of Benue State, Governor Samuel Otom, says, look, what President Buhari has done by postponing the census amounts to listening to the voice of reason. He says that the National Population Commission has an agenda, and that at any time, when that census is conducted, 17 years since the last one, the people in IDPs, internally displaced persons, should not be excluded, since ethnicity, religion, and those other values are important issues in Nigerian demographics. What do you say to that? Do you have an agenda at the National Population Commission?
Our agenda at the National Population Commission is to do a census that is reliable, verifiable, and acceptable to Nigerians. And that is what our chairman, Honorable Nasri Isa Kwara, represents. That is what all the commissioners, 37 of them, one representing each state of the Federation and the Federal Capital Authority represents. That is why our DG represents, having served in government and served at internationally represent. That is why all of us are also representing. We have names, and we have also character, and we also have distinct. And we are not known to do this type of job locally alone. Yours sincerely have been engaged with international data collection exercises that international organizations and bodies trust on us to do. So we all have an integrity. And like I've said, after the census we have, what the Constitution says that our chairman and commissioners remain sacked if they implement a failed census. So I think the only agenda the Commission has is to implement a census that is reliable, acceptable, and verifiable, that all Nigerians are counted once and in the right place. That is the agenda we have. On the issue of IDPs, I think we have, in this census, we have done something that we have never done before. In the past, we just go and find out where people that are not living in any house and are enumerated on the night of the census. But this time around, we have done a mapping of all places where we have IDPs, where we have fishing camps, and we call them special population. And we have developed a kind of special strategy to enumerate them. We know where they are. And in the body of questionnaire, irrespective of where you are, we'll be able to trace you back to your state, your local government area, and your locality. All these are inbuilt in the census questionnaire. So, and we have the opportunity to allay the fears. It is irrespective. Demography is never static. It's always dynamic. And at any point in time, people are going to move. And census is mindful of those. My brother, how are you? Yeah.
Dr. Jalingo, we need to go.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
National Population Commission has exposed itself to a lot of criticism. As we held this conversation, people have sent me messages saying, your commission has not opened itself up to a stress test. So can you even be trusted? 2, that it is wrong for you to come on national television, international television, to say that, you don't need INEC data, you don't need NIMSI data. What do you say to that? Briefly, because I need to move on.
You know, like I have told you, these databases are different databases. Census is a civil process. You know, it's a civil process that takes information on both Nigerians and non-Nigerians. So our own focus is to get those civil informations that are required for national planning and development. So we don't take biometrics data in census, and you can also check the United Nations recommendation. I am part and parcel of such meetings of the UNA where a decision is taken that you don't take biometrics information for a census. And that is the UN recommendation. It's a civil process. It's done everywhere in the world. And we are also doing the same thing as far as it is concerned. And the other databases are for what they are meant for. And they are serving the purpose in which they are meant for.
Okay.
So about Nigerians, I think this interface I'm coming out to have with you is part of the process to tell Nigerians where we are. And a lot of Nigerians have applied to work with us. Some we have worked with them, and so they have seen that what we are doing, and they know that the census we are doing is different, and it's a census that is making sure that every Nigerian counts.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jalingo, for joining us on this Day Live, this Sunday talk show. There are many Nigerians out there who think that, yes, in getting appropriate data for economic planning, there should be integration, there should be cooperation, and that Nigerians don't have to supply data perpetually across lines, whereby agencies of government will keep quoting billions of naira that may not even be accounted for. But thank you very much for joining us.